Hi folks, it's Carrie with Otter Creek Homestead. Thanks for joining me today. We are going to be canning beef broth. Well, to be honest, I don't know if we're going to can beef broth today, but we're at least going to cook it up. We'll probably put it in the fridge and can it in another day or two. So I got up early this morning, like 5, to get my bones out of the deep freeze and let them set out for a bit. And I've got them in the oven now for about an hour, probably. I think I'll let them go another 15-20 minutes and hopefully they'll be good and roasted. And these are bones that we got from, I guess technically the slaughterhouse. I want to say butcher, but maybe it's the butcher. I don't know what the right word is. But the last couple times we've butchered beef, I asked them to save me some bones. I actually asked them to save me marrow bones, and they did. The first batch are soup bones. They're a marrow bone with some meat around it. And then the second set is the second time we butchered, they saved me neck bones, which was interesting. And they do have quite a bit of meat on them, which really surprised me. But anyway, they've been in the oven for a while. We'll check on them in a few and then see if they're ready to go. First up, I'll show you my beef bones I got going in here. They were meatier than I thought they would be, so I mean, it smells pretty beefy, but I'm sure it'll be fine. They just had more meat on them than I thought they would, which also means they have more fat than I expected them to have. But anyway, I borrowed my mom's big roaster. This is like her, you know, turkey, ham, whatever roaster. So I'm going to use that, and I've been saving veggie scraps since like January or so, because I've had these bones for a while, and I knew I needed to do this. So I've been saving onion, carrot, and celery scraps since the beginning of the year. We had a wing night once at my mom's. One night we had a wing night at my mom's, and I used a whole thing of celery, so I got a lot of celery in this bag. But anyway, adding the onion skins, like I've got some red onion skins and the yellow onion skins in here, that will really deepen the color of your broth. If you didn't know, you can boil those onion skins down to color eggs at Easter time, and I've done that loads of times, and it gives you a different hue. It's kind of brownish. If you throw in some red, you'll have some purpley in there. It's kind of cool, but I knew that throwing those in here would enhance the color of my bone or my beef broth, so I included the skins too. So hopefully this will add some good flavor, and then I'll add in some salt, and we'll see how it turns out. I honestly don't know how long to cook it. It's going to cook all day while I go and do my running and stuff, so I don't know. It's going to go for several hours. I guess I'm just going to have to taste it and just check it out. I don't know if there's really a recipe on this. I'm not even sure what temperature to put it at. I've never done it in this roaster before, but I want something that's kind of hands-off because I want to get it done today so I can get this roaster back to my mom's and get it off my counter because it's humongous. Okay, my beef came out, and it looked pretty good, nice and brown, and then I dumped all my veggies in here. I put 2 teaspoons of salt, and now I've got like 1.25 gallons of water in here, but it's not quite enough water. See how it doesn't cover all the veggies or the meat, so I'm going to add more water. I'm like, you know, if I've got all this good stuff in there, I might as well get as much out of it as I can, so I'm going to fill it up. But I have to wait on my water because I'm using water out of our Berkey filter, and I emptied it, so now I have to refill it. So that's going to take a little bit of time, but I figure it'll just, you know, this can warm up, and then I'll add some water to it, and it'll cool it back down, but no big deal. And I talked to my mom, because this is her roaster, so she has more experience with it, and she said start out at 300. She said you don't want to get it too hot where it'll evaporate. You want it to be kind of at a simmer. So I'm going to put it on 300. I'm going to be home at least for the next 3 hours. So we'll see what it looks like. See if I need to adjust the temperature down any. Hopefully that'll work. And then we'll see how long it takes. She suggested maybe 8 hours, which is kind of what I was thinking. So this is going to be an all-day process. Our broth has been cooking about 8 hours now. It's about 6 p.m. The whole house smells so good. It doesn't look like much here because all those veggies have cooked down, but I I pulled some off for dinner. And I pulled out some of the chunks of meat too. And we're going to have beef and noodles. It looks so nice. Like the color is so, so nice. I didn't add anything to it except some salt. But I need to bring over more noodles. I got my noodles over here on this counter. So I'm going to add all these noodles to it. Let it cook down for a bit. And we're going to have an amazing dinner. Okay, so I strained all my broth the other night and put it all, we used some for dinner, and then I put the rest of it in this pot. It actually wouldn't all fit in this pot, so I had to get an extra pint jar. But anyhow, I just pulled this out of the fridge. This is the best way to get your fat to solidify, so you can pull your fat off. Oh my gosh, it's stuck on here because there's so much fat. Goodness. Let's see if I can get it off of here. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, I had to pry it up with a spoon, but I got it. So here we go. Here is our beef broth. It's cold. So now I'm going to take all this fat off the top. And I got my my Ball Blue book over here. I was reading up on beef stock. It tells me process pints for 20 minutes with 10 pounds of pressure. So that's what I'm going to do. And this is the Ball Blue book. It is my favorite. It's my go-to. One year, I mean many, many years ago, my mom gave all of us kids the Ball Blue book and a pressure canner. And said, go forth and can. And I've been using it ever since. Gosh, that was probably 15 years ago, maybe. I don't know. I have to look to see how old this book is. Anyhow, there's the recipe. I loosely went off of this recipe and followed exactly as you'll see because I used the roaster. Anyhow, let's get this fat off of here. This literally is and you guys, this I already know because I already pulled the fat off of the pint jar. This is like the best kind of broth because it's basically a bone broth because it has all this collagen in it. So it looks like, basically looks like beef jello, which is like so, so good for you. That's like the best kind of broth. Now, of course, I'll can it and it'll sit at room temperature and it won't be, you know, it's not going to be jello in the cabinet, of course, because it'll be at room temperature. But I'll get all this fat off of here and warm it up so it liquefies again and then get it in my pint jars. I do not know how much this pan holds. I'm thinking at least a gallon. So I'm hoping I get at least 8 pints. We'll see. But I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this off of here and get it on the stove to heat up. And I'll scoop the rest or the bit out of this pint jar that I put in there. And we'll get this warmed up and canned today. Before it totally melts, can we just appreciate that for a few more seconds? Our broth is still warming up. I want it to get up to about a simmer. I just want to see some bubbles around the edges. It's getting there because I see some movement in the fat on top. Little droplets there swirling. But I want to get good and hot before we put it in jars. But in the meantime, I thought I would show y'all how I sterilize my jars. This is just what works for me. I'm not a canning expert. I'm not giving instructions. I'm just showing you what I do. And I showed you the Ball Blue book before. Consult it before you do any canning. That is like the holy grail, perhaps, of canning. So grab that. I'll put a couple links below to Amazon and eBay. If you want an older one, you can find those on eBay. But I'll show you what I do for our jars. It's pretty simple. I just have a skillet with a couple inches of water. This is just what works for me and my setup here. And I let it get up to about a simmer, which you can see it is. And all of these jars have been washed. They were either out of the dishwasher and put in the pantry recently or out of the basement, and I just washed them. So I'll do that. And I got my tongs, which have been sterilized because they just came out of the dishwasher hot. And I'll just dump it out and move it over here to my towel where I will fill them up. I like to give them a few seconds in the water to make sure they get all good and hot. And then move them over. All my jars have been sterilized, so they're ready to be filled. And once I do that, I throw my lids in here to warm them up, and I also use this water to sterilize my funnel and my ladle that I'll be using. And then once I pull my funnel and my ladle out, I just turn this off and let the lids sit in here until I need it. Again, I'm no expert. I'm not instructing you on what to do. I'm just showing you what I do. Okay, our broth is nice and hot, so we're going to get to filling these jars. See if I can do this one-handed. Probably not. There's going to be some spillage. There always is when you're working with a really thin liquid like broth. Jellies, usually I spill a good bit of those too. I wanted to talk to you guys. Do you have a preference when you're canning? Like, there are certain things that I save wide mouth jars for, and certain things that I'll use regular size or regular mouth jars for. Like things that I'm just going to pour out, like tomato products or beef broth or green beans. Anything that's just going to be poured out of the jar, that goes in a regular mouth. But if it's something that I have to dig into, like pickled beets, we don't pour those out. We usually eat those out of the jar. Pickled beets or pickles, anything that I have to dip out. Apple butter I like to put in a wide mouth jar. Jellies, I put them in a jelly jar, which is straight up and down. There's no like shoulder on it like a pint jar has. The width of the mouth is the same width of the jar, so I don't mind putting jelly in a regular mouth as long as it's a jelly jar like that. But I'm real particular about what goes in a regular mouth and what goes in a wide mouth. So a couple weeks ago I cleaned out my pantry. I have all my canned goods in there. That's like some ASMR right there, ain't it? I should just hush and let y'all listen to the pouring of the broth. Anyhow, I cleaned out, I'm not going to do that, sorry. I cleaned out my pantry a couple weeks ago because when I empty a jar, I'll throw it in the dishwasher and then it goes back into the pantry. So the pantry was a disaster because it had so many empty jars in it, along with the things that we still had that were good. Still full, that we hadn't eaten yet. So I cleaned it out and I put together a plastic shelving unit for the basement, and I thought I don't want to put all my full jars down there because I don't want to move, heavy things like that up and down the stairs, but I'll put all my empties down there. So I set up a shelving unit, and then I boxed up all my jars, and then I was really careful to put wide mouth with wide mouth and regular mouth with regular mouth. And I labeled the end of the boxes so I could see what they are. So when I needed some for this, I knew exactly where to go to get regular mouth pint jars. And I'm going to be honest with you, I thought I might need 8 or 9 of these jars, because I thought I had some idea of how much this pot would hold. But I always do extra, so always do that. Always prepare extra jars, because it's a real pain, and I've done it plenty times. It is a real pain to be almost done loading your jars up and then realize, crap, I need 2 or 3 more. I mean, I've done it. I've done it before where I thought, oh, okay, I need 3 more. No, you needed 5 more. So then you have to go and wash more and sterilize more again. So it's better if you can do it all in one step. Get all the jars clean, all the jars sterilized, and ready to go all at once. So, what's the worst that happens? What's the worst that can happen if you don't need all those jars? No, you just have a couple clean jars. Big deal. So no big deal. All right, I'm going to have to tilt my pan to finish this, which means I need my second hand. So, almost done. Okay, we've got our lids on, And after I've filled them up, so you need to use a clean, damp cloth or paper towel to wipe your rims to make sure you don't have anything on there that's going to stop your lid from sealing. And this is also another good reason to wipe your rims. I'm wiping this jar. It was actually full. I have this much extra, which I'm just going to put in the fridge. But this jar was full. It was sitting over here. And so I had another jar here that had this half in it. So I'm wiping this rim, and I feel my cloth catch. And this rim has a nick in it. Can y'all see it? Yep, there it is. A nice nick in this rim. So I poured what was in this jar into the other one to fill it up, and this was what we have left. So I'm just going to put a plastic lid on that and put it in the fridge, and we'll use it for beef stew or something this week. And I'm going to get, I think I can fit 7 in my canner. I ended up with 11, so I'm super happy with that. I did not think I would have that many, so I'm really happy with that. So I'm going to get them in my pressure canner. We'll get it loaded up. That water I had heated up before to sterilize things in, I just poured it into my canner to start us off with some warm water, and then we'll just put some more hot water in there from the hydrant, or from the faucet, because this is hot, so you want to have hot water. You don't want to pour cold water on a hot jar with hot liquid in it, because that, if you got glass, you don't want that big temperature change to bust your glass. So we're going to get that done. We're going to get these processed, and hopefully everything seals and we don't have any cracks, because that has happened before too. So we'll see what happens. It takes a long time for the pressure canner to build up pressure, but we're going to get it going. So our beef broth is all done. Here are the first 6. My pressure canner will hold 8 quarts, I believe. Here's the first 6. It works better if you don't, if you try to have as many in it as you can in a canning, so they don't have too much space to bounce around or whatever. So these are my last 5, and we ended up with 11 total. I love that. It looks like they've all sealed. No cracks. Nothing busted on me, which happens and really stinks. So that's good. So we'll let them cool. They're supposed to sit for 24 hours. So tomorrow, probably after lunch or so, I will wipe them down. Because you know what I forgot to do? I did not put, it helps if you put a little white vinegar in your water. And, ooh, golly, that was hot. And they won't get this little film on them. So I'll wipe them down and take the rings off. Because you want to take the rings off when you store canned goods. And right on the top's what they are, and put them away in the pantry. So, yay. I'm really, really happy with this. It was bones that we had, veggie scraps that I'd been saving. We already had jars. We had lids and rings, and here we go. Now we have 11 pints of beef broth. I'm super, super happy about that. We know exactly what's in it, and it's full of collagen, so it's super healthy. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. And remember, the Ball Blue book is awesome. It's a great place to start if you're going to be canning, if you want to start canning. And I hope you'll join me next time. If you haven't subscribed, we hope you will. We'd love to see you again. Take care. Stay well. Bye now.